I recently got the awesome opportunity to get my hands on a Samsung Galaxy S10, and I made an episode of Redux on Android Authority about it a few weeks ago, links to that in the video description. However, after I did my review of the Pixel 3a XL, I wanted to switch on to something a little bit older, so I decided to use the Galaxy S10. I've been using it non-stop for quite a while now, so I feel like I am qualified to give my verdict. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas, and this is my 2021 review of the Samsung Galaxy S10. The S10 is 2 generations old, debuting in 2019 alongside the S10e, the S10 Plus, and later the S10 Plus 5G. It launched for $999 or £899, but you can pick one up on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist or Gumtree for around £200 in the UK, which makes it a pretty good deal on the used market. This is cheaper than the likes of the Pixel 4a and OnePlus Nord, with the caveat being it's a little bit older. However, as I've expressed on this channel before, older doesn't always mean worse, and this one is a pretty good example of that. The S10 combines some great features from more modern smartphones with some great features from some newer smartphones, and it's kind of the middle ground that pieces the 2 generations together, which makes it a pretty good value. You get the headphone port and microSD expansion, but also minimal bezels, a punch hole, and a triple camera setup. It's missing some bleeding edge features like a high refresh rate display, a periscope zoom camera, and a double figure RAM count, but that shouldn't take away from how superb this phone is. One big thing I noticed after using a lot of in-display fingerprint scanners and then switching to this older ultrasonic unit is this is a lot more accurate and a lot faster than the optical ones that I've been used to on other smartphones. I'm not sure if this is just my compatibility with in-display fingerprint scanners, but a lot of those units are the reasons that I prefer capacitive, but for some reason the in-display one in this one worked just fine. Another thing I noticed is that the headphone port, it's so nice having a headphone port when you're in a car that doesn't have Bluetooth. It's just a lifesaver. I love that. And thirdly, I think this size of smartphone is basically perfect for me. I'm not rocking a case on it because it's slightly older at this point and I don't really care too much, but obviously I'm still cautious with it. It's just a really nice size without a case on it. It's like my perfect size smartphone. It reminds me a lot of the S7 Edge, and I know I say that every time I use like a more modern Samsung smartphone, and I guess because it's just another Samsung smartphone, but it's really cool and I like the size. It fits my hand really well. There are some negatives to the S10 being an older device. The more obvious is the lack of high refresh rate display. Going from 90 to 60 you might not feel it, but going from 120 to 60 is going to be rough. Thankfully, I don't really care because I just use all my smartphones on 60 Hz anyway when I'm using them as my personal device to extend battery life. I do want to take some time to talk about the design. I know I bang on about modern smartphone designs all looking boring and samey, but seriously, this thing looks class, especially in the rare red colorway that I happen to have here. The reason for this? Thin bezels, a punch hole camera, and most importantly, that rear camera module that's horizontally positioned as opposed to the more domino looking things that we've seen on more modern devices. It's also a lower profile than we're used to seeing on a lot of more modern smartphones, so it's easier to get in and out of your pocket as well. For me, it's far more stylized than the more modern way of doing things, and I'd love to hear what you think about this in the comments, as this and the Note 9 are my 2 favorite designed smartphones ever. You'd expect a 2-year-old Exynos chip to do pretty poorly when it comes to performance, but honestly, I've only got good things to say about it. It's not going to touch the top 10 fastest smartphones of all time, and a lot of that's actually got to do with the fact that it's not using a high refresh rate display, so you don't feel it being as quick. But overall, it's perfectly solid. I use my smartphone a lot, and the 8GB of RAM in this thing really helps it going long term. The RAM management in this thing is also very good. I almost always come back to an open app with everything still exactly where I left it, and that's exactly how I want my phone to perform. It's running One UI 3.1 based on Android 11, which is about as up to date as it gets for an older Samsung device. Personally, I really like One UI. I think it looks really clean, it functions really well, everything is basically where I'd expect it to be, and the camera app is both simple to use and very powerful at the same time. Anyway, enough gushing, we need to talk about one thing that the S10 doesn't do so well with, and it's the battery life. Sure, 3400 mAh isn't tiny, especially for the size of this smartphone, but given that many 2021 devices have a minimum of 4000 mAh batteries, it's not ideal. I get about a full day's use of mine, which is perfectly fine, but I'm not as heavy a user as a lot of people I know. I use my phone a lot for like 50% brightness, Wi-Fi connection only, and I only really go through social media. I'm not a gamer and I don't really watch video on my smartphone. I'm mostly at the computer most of the time anyway, so I don't get a lot of usage out of it. However, if you're commuting a lot, lots of Bluetooth connections, or you're a heavy gamer, this thing is not going to get you through a full day, unfortunately, although that could be to do with the fact that it's a used and degraded battery versus a fresh brand new one. That might net you better screen on time. In fact, I can almost guarantee it. Charging isn't particularly snappy either due to the use of 15 watt fast charging. I mean, it just seems archaic at this point. That's slower than the original Pixel. It fits me just fine because I charge my phone overnight anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But for those of you who need to charge it in the morning in a pinch, you're not going to get anywhere near the same speed as you would with a modern BBK mid-ranger, for example. As a videographer and hobbyist photographer, cameras are some of the most important bits for a personal smartphone for me. The S10 was the first Samsung flagship to have the holy trinity of focal lengths, a wide, an ultra wide and a telephoto on the back. These are 12, 16 and 12 megapixels respectively, and combined with a 10 megapixel selfie camera for a rather versatile package. The first thing that I noticed with the S10's camera is that the samples tend to look a bit too processed. This is a look that I'm not partial to, but it does make the images look sharper at first glance if you're into that. The colours look oversaturated and there's a lot of contrast across the board. I'm rather impressed with the dynamic range performance of the S10, however, it's just not how I particularly like my photos. Also, having that ultra-wide and telephoto means that you can get fresh perspectives versus something like a Pixel 4a, which might do better colours but doesn't give you that flexibility. Selfies look decent too, with not too much processing going on to get a decent shot. I don't take many selfies personally, so this wasn't a huge deal to me, but it might be to you. Having that up-to-date software means that you get a slew of great camera modes. On top of the traditional main and video modes, you get portrait mode, a feature-rich pro mode, night mode, and portrait video, which, while gimmicky, is kinda cool. Speaking of video, Samsung's Ultra HD 60p video isn't bad. It's still got that over-sharpened look to it, but for social media, stories, and getting clips of your kids or animals, it's very usable and editable if you're into that. Additionally, slow motion is available at 1080p 240fps or even 960fps at 720p, though the quality naturally degrades at that high frame rate. Samsung's camera app is one of the best on the market, and I say the same about Huawei's camera app. I want simplicity, but also I want options for when I want to spend more time taking photos. Having all of this in one app is brilliant, and I think Sony could learn a thing or two from this. So, should you still buy the Galaxy S10 in 2021? Well, as always, I say if you can get the latest version, but the S10 is still brilliant for around £200 on eBay. You're getting a phone that's relatively quick, it's got relatively good cameras, relatively decent battery life, and obviously a really good screen, being a Samsung flagship. For most people who aren't complete nerds when it comes to smartphones and tech, they're not going to care about the things that this is missing, and so I feel like this is going to be a good smartphone for those who are looking for still a really good phone, but sort of on the cheap, because COVID times, it's not like everyone's got loads of money or anything. Personally, I'm probably going to hold on to this for a few months yet because I really like it and I don't see myself switching for a little while now. I'm going to leave today's video here, guys. If you liked it, please do hit like, comment and subscribe to never miss a video like this one, and check out all my social media links in the video description as well. I've been Ryan Thomas and I'll catch you later. Peace.